Welcome to the review space. In this video, we're going to take a look at the top 10 reasons why I stopped watching the WWE. I no longer tune in to current modern WWE programming because I am simply done with the product. And basically my issues with the WWE's programming on the main roster, primarily Monday Night Raw. Number 1. No more big stars. The WWE used to have huge megastars like Stone Cold Steve Austin and The Rock back in the late 90s, and now they have no huge stars that feel larger than life. The closest would be Brock Lesnar, but even he wasn't as popular as those guys in his prime, and now he only shows up maybe 2 or 3 times a year to have a title match or some kind of main event or gimmick match. WWE simply has no interest in creating megastars anymore with crossover appeal because they don't have any real competition such as WCW, another big company who can steal their talent away and potentially drive the WWE out of business. They had a chance to make CM Punk into a massive star back in 2011, and the closest thing to Austin and The Rock from the Attitude Era in terms of crowd reaction and genuine popularity. But instead, what did they do? They let Triple H squash the heck out of CM Punk's momentum by beating him. Simply put, the WWE doesn't want to create any new megastars. Number 2. Too many pay-per-views. Whether they are called special events for the network or pay-per-views, there's no good reason to have 1,000 WWE pay-per-views every single year because they have to rush through these storylines and title matches every single month. Backlash, Payback, Fastlane, WrestleMania, SummerSlam, Great Balls of Fire, Royal Rumble, Extreme Rules, Money in the Bank, Battleground, Clash of Champions, Hell in a Cell, Survivor Series, TLC, No Mercy, Roadblock. Everything gets saturated, and most of these events feel and look exactly the same. The sets are so interchangeable. At least with NXT, there's at least a couple of months of breathing room between the big takeover specials, so we see some build-up between title matches. But on the main roster, nothing feels important because they cram all these feuds into a 2-week build, and then another upcoming pay-per-view gets promoted on the same day of the current pay-per-view. Number 3. No more mic skills. This might be a bit of an exaggeration, but nobody can cut a good promo anymore. Sure, we still have people like Paul Heyman, but he's effectively just a manager for Brock Lesnar and not an actual in-ring performer. The younger, up-and-coming stars we have today are mediocre at best when it comes to cutting a promo. In the past, we had so many talented talkers and characters who gave memorable promos and speeches during the 80s and 90s, such as HBK Shawn Michaels, Ric Flair, Randy Savage, Scott Hall, The Rock, Raven, Stone Cold, Hulk Hogan, Dusty Rhodes, Onita, Mick Foley, Scott Steiner. The list goes on. Now, the best talkers have disappeared. CM Punk left over 3 years ago, and none of the current WWE wrestlers today captivate me on the microphone with their lack of character or lack of charisma. I can't fully blame the wrestlers today still because everything is heavily scripted and toned down for the PG rating. So it's ultimately the WWE's fault and the product looks worse because of it. Number 4. Meaningless titles. So a pro wrestling championship is supposed to be a big deal, such as the WWE Universal title or the WWE Championship on SmackDown. The reality is that these belts don't carry much value anymore because of bad booking and lackluster build-up. Vince McMahon will put the strap on anybody that he wants to push at the time, such as Jinder Mahal for the Indian market, AJ Styles, Goldberg, a returning old star from the past, but none of them feel like a big deal because the titles get passed around on a regular basis. Former WWE champions such as Austin, Hogan, and Ultimate Warrior, they felt convincing and credible champions because they won most of their matches and they look strong doing it. In the modern era, WWE champions like AJ Styles would lose to jobbers such as James Ellsworth, or a long-term Universal champion like Kevin Owens would get humiliated by Goldberg in 30-second squash matches. Goldberg is a part-timer who hasn't wrestled in many years, well over a decade, and he just squashed the living heck out of Kevin Owens. That's ridiculous. These moments hurt the title because it makes the champion look extremely weak, and then the titles themselves lose any sort of credibility. They make him look like a joke. In the late 80s and early 90s, even the mid-card belts, like the Intercontinental title, carried much prestige, and winning those mid-card gold felt important. Now, none of the main roster titles feels important at all. They're very disposable. Number 5. The internet ruined wrestling. Believe it or not, there was a time when pro wrestling used to surprise the heck out of people because of some shocking swerve or angle that nobody expected. Now everything is either too predictable or spoiled by the internet, whether it's finding out the results immediately through social media or accidentally seeing a news article as you innocently peruse through the websites and pages. You just mind your own business and you see a spoiler on the internet like bam, there it is, and you can't unsee it. Through the internet, rumors spread like wildfire quickly, so a shocking surprise or a heel turn or an incoming talent from another company is immediately spoiled, so the fans already know what to expect. I can't fully hate the internet because ironically it does expose me and many other fans to other promotions in the American indies and around the world that I would otherwise never have known about. But in terms of WWE itself, the rumors and the news are always online. Number 6. Finishing moves don't finish. In the past, a finishing move is supposed to be the finale of a match. When Steve Austin hits the Stone Cold Stunner, or when Shawn Michaels would play the sweet chin music, their opponent went down for the count. 1, 2, 3, and the match was over. The winner looks strong, the finisher looks convincing, and the finisher itself is protected. Now every finishing move is just a wear down or a high spot, or even just a signature move, which renders them relatively useless. How many times do we see superstars today overuse the super kick, or the power bomb, or the DDT, only for the opponent to kick out constantly? It's fine for top guys to kick out of finishers on very rare occasions, but not in damn near every pay-per-view where the finisher gets buried because it's not strong enough to end the match after a single use. Take a look at somebody like Baron Corbin, for example. You know his move, that deep six, that spinning side power bomb, or whatever it's called? That's a great looking move. That's very visually pleasing, and it does have a great aesthetic appeal. It looks epic and wicked, and guess what? His opponent always kicks out of that move because it's just a wear down. It looks more like a finisher, and it looks great, but guess what? They water that move down because he does it in every single match, and they always kick out. Number 7. 205 Live. The Cruiserweight Classic was arguably the best in-ring action that WWE produced last year of 2016, but then it spawned one of the most irrelevant shows in WWE history, 205 Live. I have never cared about the WWE's version of the Cruiserweight division because they were always booked as filler acts with no real rhyme or reason. Neville has proven himself to be a very good villain character, and there are a few talented individuals with charisma such as Jack Gallagher and Austin Aries. However, these guys deserve far better than being on some D-list show like 205 Live because the Cruiserweight title is irrelevant, their storylines are irrelevant, the way that they're presented is irrelevant, and their current position on the main roster is irrelevant. Therefore, 205 Live is worthless, and it doesn't make me want to care about any of these characters. 205 Live has got to go. Number 8. Horrible announcing. When it comes to storytelling, the announcers themselves have to be captivating, engaging, witty, and insightful during these WWE matches. You may see a few hints of entertaining commentary and charm from certain guys such as Corey Graves, JR on occasion, Daniel Bryan on occasion, Mauro Ranallo, and he's gone, Nigel McGuinness, but for the most part, it's rather formulaic, generic, and bland. We used to have more interesting and brilliant voices, such as Vince McMahon from the mid-90s when he did commentary, a heel Jerry the King Lawler and Jim Ross during the late 90s and early 2000s, and of course the old-school commentary team with Bobby Heenan and Gorilla Monsoon. Even CM Punk was a pretty good commentator during his time on NXT back in 2010, and other talented guys in the past such as Joey Styles and Matt Striker could have stayed as WWE announcers, but just didn't pan out. It seems like good announcing will never really come back on a regular schedule in WWE. Today, the announcers are boring, dry, and robotic, and all just repeating what the company tells them to say on their headsets. Number 9. No competition. Now this might sound like it's cheating because it's not really specifically with WWE, but there's really no more competition anymore, and I really miss those days when you had two massive giant companies going head to head. There's no more Monday Nitro to watch on the same time that WWE Raw would be on. There's no more two giant companies and two main TV shows from different companies going head to head on the same time slot during nighttime. So you don't have that feeling of competition, so this really doesn't give WWE a reason to improve their product. So of course, with no competition, there's no reason for them to make big stars and all the rest of these other criticisms that I've mentioned before. There's no reason to improve the product. Unfortunately, there's no more WCW, and there's not even a TNA anymore. Remember when TNA used to go on Monday nights? That was slightly exciting, but we don't really have that excitement anymore, and I really do miss that competition. We don't have it. Even WWE themselves could make something like that where they could air Raw on Monday night, and the same thing with SmackDown. They could have SmackDown on a different channel, but have it also be on Monday night and see which one of the two would earn ratings. Now, it might not seem to make sense in terms of business-wise because you're dividing up the audiences on the same night, but it would be cool to have that awesome competitive feeling again. The closest thing we have to that nowadays would be like if NXT TakeOver would air on Saturday and then they would have a pay-per-view on Sunday. So it would be like, oh, we'll try to top what happened on Saturday, try to top what happened on NXT, and so on and so forth. But even that one doesn't really, that's not even real competition. There's no two companies going head-to-head anymore. Number 10. Lack of interest. Some of you guys might feel the same way, but I'll go through periods where I no longer really have any interest in the product because you simply get burnt out from watching so much wrestling. Week in and week out, it's WWE for the most part. Then you add up all of the points that I mentioned before, and there's really no genuine interest or motivation to really keep watching the product. You don't want to view it anymore because it's done, it's saturated, it's so tired and redundant. So basically, you just tune out of the WWE, and then you start to feel better after a while because your attention is focused on other things, whether it's music or video games or some other kind of hobby. It's okay to stop watching WWE because at the end of the day, it really doesn't matter. WWE will still book however they want to and present their product a certain way, and it's never really going to change for the better. Alright, so that's it. Those are my top 10 reasons why I stopped watching the WWE, and I highly suggest that you do the same. You should try it as well. I definitely highly suggest to anybody out there that's sick and tired of the modern WWE, the product, the Monday Night Raw. I mean, it really is just unwatchable in 2017. It's been bad for the past probably 5, 6, 10 plus years, but I've always had reason to come back. But really now, turning 30 years old and realizing how this product is just never going to change. It's never really going to improve, at least not the main roster, not on Monday Night Raw, their flagship show. It's time to end it. It's over. It's time to stop watching. So that's it for this episode of the Review Space. Check out the channel for more videos, subscribe, and go hit that bell button on the subscription page, because that's how you get notified with my videos every time that they get uploaded. Immediately, the notification thing, that's a must. So anyway, thank you for tuning in. Until next time, peace.